everyone, welcome back to Fig and Thistle Books. I'm Amanda and it is National Library Week. So I thought I would pop in and post a video about librarianship, and I dressed the part today. So I've got my future librarian shirt on because I'm working on my master's in library science. I've got my out of print date due slip mug that my friend Catherine kindly got me, and it's in my favorite color. And get this, y'all might see my, look, clean laundry. It just needs to be folded. We'll pretend we didn't see that. This is my librarian skirt. It's got cats. It's got books. It's good times. So, okay, let me assemble myself here. Getting close so we can have a talk. So let's talk about libraries. Let's talk about specifically librarians. Some of y'all may know I have worked in an academic library as a paraprofessional for the past 13 and a half years. And last spring, I started my Master of Library and Information Science Studies. And I should graduate in December of 2018 with my MLIS. And I'm super excited. So, we could talk about a lot of things about librarianship. We could talk about how people don't know what librarians do. I get a lot of comments about, oh, you get to read all day. No, I don't. That would be a lovely career if somebody would like to pay me and give me benefits to read all day. I'm more than happy to do that, but we don't read all day. People make comments about like, are we busy? It must be easy. There must be nothing to do. All these things are absolutely false. We could talk about all the different types of librarianship in different libraries. We could talk about media specialists, or working in an academic library or a special library or a public library, and all of those have some similarities and some differences. We could talk about all of those things, and at some point we might. But today I want to talk about why I decided I wanted to be a librarian, and more importantly, well, not more importantly, but initially why I started working in a library, and what I thought when I went in and what I've learned since then. So I started at my library. I was 24. I had graduated with a degree in English, and I was working part-time at Blockbuster and part-time at a used bookstore. Well, it wasn't a used bookstore. It was a tiny, odd little bookstore. And I needed a job with insurance and benefits. And I didn't want to go right away and get my master's. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I was stuck. I graduated with honors, and then I was like, and now I do what? I had always envisioned being a professor or a writer or something, and there was like graduation and then what? What comes next? So, I worked at my little minimum wage jobs that were soul sucking, thinking like, why did I go to school that I'm doing this? And about 3 or 4 months after graduation, I get a phone call from my alma mater saying, we have a job coming open. And they knew me at the library very well because that was my home away from home. And they asked me to interview, and they offered me a job. Now, when I got my job at the library, my perception was, I'm going to be around super smart academic people, and I will be surrounded by books. And yeah, I know I'll probably have to go out to the front desk. I didn't quite understand, allergies. I didn't quite understand what my job was supposed to be. They said I would be copy cataloging. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. I knew it had something to do with taking the information from the books and putting it in the computer and the system where people could find them. But I didn't really know. I'm like, do you scan something? I don't know. I know I'm going to be working with books. So that's how I entered the library profession. What I was surprised to learn was that libraries are so much more than books. Yes, books. I haven't met a librarian who doesn't love books. And the reason why we are always pimping books is because it is the vehicle for information and imagination and creativity and intellectual freedom. And books are awesome. But there's also many other things librarians do. So as I started working at this library, I went through many different jobs, and I learned many different things. So at some point in time, I'll talk about what all the different jobs I've had and how different they are and how they change my perceptions of what being a library professional is, but I'm going to talk about that at another time. I'm going to talk to you today about why I stuck with libraries and why I ultimately decided to get my master's in library science and be a librarian. Yes, you have to have a master's degree to be a librarian. I get that question a lot, and there are many reasons, and we'll talk about that another time. But first of all, why do I want to be a librarian? So I started in libraries, and I wasn't reading books all day. I wasn't handling books all day. So what's the appeal, Amanda? Let me tell you. So I like to think back to one of my favorite passages from Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar, the image of the fig tree, where our protagonist, Esther Greenwood, has a dream that there's this giant fig tree, and she is sitting in like the crux of this fig tree, and she is just surrounded by all this beautiful, bursting, delicious, ripe fruit. And all these different figs are different things. Maybe it's relationships with other people, it's having a home and a family, it's helping others, it's being a professor, it's being a writer, it's world travel, it's all these different things. And she cannot decide what to pick. She can't decide what she wants to pick, and she doesn't want to pick wrong. And if she picks one fig, well, that means the other figs are going to wither and die, or she's not going to get to them in time. And what the crap is she going to do? And she starts seeing these figs just like fall from the tree and rot. And she's like, that has resonated with me so much because I am going to turn 38 this month. And yeah, I'm going to be a librarian, but I'm going to be a librarian because I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Let me explain. Coffee. So when I think about what I like to do and what I value and how I want to spend my time and how that translates to a career and like really like a purpose in life. I mean, you spend a lot of hours at your job. Your job can kind of help define who you are, what your values are, what you're wanting to put your time into, what you're wanting people to know you as. So when I think about from the time I was middle school or teenager through college, through my 20s, through my early 30s, when I'm thinking about what the heck do I want to do with my life, there are lots of different things. I value helping others. I like to help others. I value education. So I've thought, I didn't really feel like teacher was in my, I like teaching people, but I couldn't see myself in a classroom of 30 teaching all the subjects. I'm more am interested in facilitating people who are curious or who need a piece of information. So I'm very interested in that. I've thought about social work or counseling because I'm very focused on helping others mentally and emotionally, kindness and caring, and I'm very aware when you talk about social work and stuff of like power dynamics and power structures and the way gender and race and class and ability and all these different things impact how we interact with the world. I was one class shy of a gender studies minor in college, so I've thought about going and getting a degree in like women's studies and becoming a professor and writing about like gender and sexuality and really researching. I love books. Sylvia Plath archives. I wanted to be a rare book librarian or archivist and get to see books and materials from other times and that have been handled and by famous people or have impacted our society or history in some way. I've thought about getting my PhD in English and becoming an English professor and working with college students. I freaking love college students. And having a chance to write and research and travel and maybe write a book. I've wanted to do something creative. I want to be a poet. I want to write a novel. I'm not artistic, but I want to think about things in new ways. I don't want to do the same thing every day. I don't want to punch in and just do something. I want to be challenged. I want to be creative. What do I pick? Do I go to become a counselor or a social worker? Do I become an educator and go teach like high school English? Do I go get a PhD in a subject and become a professor and write articles and do research? what do I want to do? Do I want to do something creative and be like, I'm gonna freelance, or I'm gonna write poems, or I'm gonna work on a novel? What do I do with all these things? I'm 37. I should have this figured out. What am I gonna be when I grow up? My kids are like, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. And I'm like, y'all are way ahead of me. Librarianship. These things all come together in librarianship. And I can do a little bit of everything in this job. So let me break it down for you. I work in an academic library, so that means I'm in a university. So I'm working with college students and professors and the staff, and then sometimes some community members. So that's kind of the culture I'm around. I can, in my job as a library paraprofessional, and when I'm a librarian, I can help students find research. I can help. Yesterday, I helped someone with MLA citations. I can teach courses, information literacy courses. I can prepare materials to help people learn, like tutorials, or we have these things called LibGuides. They're these awesome resources with like curated content. So that's got an educational component. I can work with many different types of people. I have to understand when someone comes and asks a question, I have to understand where they're coming from and what they're really seeking and what their need is, and that requires listening. And we can have questions from, I need to find an article on Romeo and Juliet, to I need to find some information on birth control, or I am trying to navigate visa stuff and I need a resource. So we get so many different questions from so many different types of people, and it takes listening, a little bit of empathizing and compassion, and then helping guide that person to finding a solution, a resource, very much like a therapist would. Social work wise, I can look at power dynamics and gender studies and race and class and think, how can I best reach people who have maybe been disenfranchised or oppressed? I can promote resources. I can, there are books and articles. I can do that. I can examine those things. I can also examine those things in an academic way. Librarianship has awesome opportunities to write, to publish, to research, to get involved in professional organizations and go to conferences. I can sit down and examine what feminist reverence services would look like. I can examine how to do materials like books, DVDs, databases, selection for LGBT college students. I can study these things. I can develop methods. I can pilot them. I can talk to colleagues about this stuff. I can get that very rich academic environment that's knowledge and learning. I can be creative. I've made displays. I've developed games. I've made marketing materials. I've thought outside of the box on how to word things, or how to writing for audiences. I may have one piece of information that I need to communicate, and I will communicate it differently to the college students and in another way to the faculty. So it really kind of hits all those things that I enjoy, and all those things that are meaningful and make me feel like I'm doing something that matters. So all that to say, if you are at a point in your life where you're like, I like helping people and I want to learn more and research, and I want to do something that has value and impact, but I want to do educational stuff, but I want to be creative, but you might want to look at being a librarian. Seriously, it's exciting. I totally nerd out. So that's all the things that I can do, all the things that I'm doing, and why I think librarianship is just the perfect career for me, because I can do all of these things. Last night we had a town hall meeting with our director of our program, and so I admitted that one of my nerd dreams is to be a bibliographer for MLA. And so initially I was like, okay, I need to go get a PhD in English, I need to become a professor, and I need to go do this and that. No, I could develop an independent study in my library school and learn more about annotated bibliographies, and there are different types. There's different ways to write them. It's kind of an art form. I can pick a subject and I can start practicing being a bibliographer. That's awesome. And I can teach. I'm doing lesson plans and I'm doing a teaching demo and I'm doing marketing stuff and displays at my library right now. And I'm doing really detailed stuff when I'm requesting articles through Interlibrarian for our students. So I'm getting to do a lot of different things that hit a lot of different things. I love organization, creativity, helping others, intellectual inquiry, all these things, librarianship. So I didn't think of posting this until this morning when I was like, what should I post about libraries? And I was like, this is what I need to post about. So that's what's awesome about libraries. And I would encourage you, if you have not thought of working in a library, or if you've thought that libraries or librarians are irrelevant or going to be done away with Google, please. I would like to point out that when I told my manager at Blockbuster that I was going to be leaving to work in a library, he said, one day libraries will be obsolete. There's no more Blockbuster, buddy. Libraries are still standing. So consider a career in librarianship. Get you a job in a library. You'll really enjoy it. All right, that's all for now. Bye.